everyone, from me, Brent Graham. Time for one of the final handicaps of the year. I would imagine it's Thursday night, 9 o'clock. And let's see if we can make some money doing some rugby betting. Well, I've got two guests coming in tonight, only one of them in the studio so far. I'll introduce him in just a second, but welcome to the boys watching on the live chat. The Tsar, he says he's going to be in the gym watching a few minutes behind. And Mark Dumphy, who says in advance he's high as a kite, he's had surgery on his Achilles, so ignore my outburst. And of course, we've got a man wearing a Leinster jersey in there, but the man who doesn't have a Leinster jersey, and that is Henrik Swart, the Undertaker. Henrik, welcome back to the show, mate. It's been a while since you've been on.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, thanks for having me back. I was on a bit of a bad run, so I took a bit of a break, 3 weeks or so break. Started getting into it 2 weeks ago and last week, and actually did quite all right last week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend's rugby.
Excellent. Well, I just dropped Harry a message, Harry Jones. He's joining us, and I know he got the link. He messaged me a few minutes ago. He said, cool, but I'm just worried he might have his time zones wrong. So I thought, let me just drop him a note there. But yeah, so Henrik, I mean, I know you had a bit of a rough patch. I think it was in October, but you were saying to me before the show you started coming back quite strongly in the internationals. You've enjoyed the international program?
I have enjoyed it, Brent. Yeah, it's been interesting watching, and you probably saw a few of my tweets. I've been quite opinionated about the teams, how I see the international teams at this stage, about a year from the World Cup. Yeah, I don't really rate most of the teams. I think the Boks are in a good space, although they only won against Italy, and yeah, New Zealand. Although they've showed some improvement, I'm not convinced yet. And France have gone backwards. England look really poor, in my opinion. Apart from the 3 tries in like 5 minutes or so last week, I still think they're quite poorly coached. I'm a big Eddie Jones fan, but he's not getting things right there. Yeah. But yeah, Australia, I think Australia's a dark horse, and I know you agree with me on Michael Hooper on that as well, and Dave Rennie. So yeah, but yeah, let's get into this weekend.
They're 12-1, Henrik, and if you look at it, they've got a comparative. There's no such thing as an easy run anymore. But if you had to compare them to South Africa or any one of those teams, I mean, they've got a much easier run, certainly to the semis.
Yes.
If you look at their form, I mean, they outplayed Ireland for long periods of that game. Yes, you can point to their discipline and the fact that they didn't win the game. That's true. But, if I'm looking at it, I'm saying Australia are certainly quite capable of beating any other side in the world on their day, much like the other sides are as well. So, yeah, if you can get 12-1, you could be on quite a nice bet there riding into the semis. I just want to mention to you one thing, just while we're chatting quickly about the welcome to Darren joining the show as well. They were chatting about the World Cup. I mean, going into these autumn internationals, France were 5-2, New Zealand sort of 33-10, and South Africa, Ireland, England around the 5-1 mark. Now, at that point, I was honestly considering, I was lining up a big bet on the French. I'm not going to put it on now because I don't want to tie my money up. But after these internationals, I've got absolutely no clue who's going to win this World Cup. But what fascinates me is the betting basically hasn't budged at all. And if anything, and I know you're not a Foster fan, but you are a fan of the men that they brought in around him. If anything, I'd start to look and say 33-10 New Zealand, based on what I've seen, is not that bad. Shaking your head, no chance.
No, Brent. New Zealand won't win the World Cup. I'm pretty sure of that. They definitely improved with Joe Smith and Jason Ryan, especially the forwards under Ryan. They look much better. But again, on Saturday against England, they actually looked very poor. They were in front quite easily, and that one long range try from Rico Ioane actually. They got a nice lead after that, and then they blew it completely at the end. No, I'm not convinced about New Zealand. 33-10, I won't take that.
Right, but the problem with any of those teams in that side of the draw is you just know they've got such a tough quarterfinal to take there. But let's get into the internationals. I'm not sure where Harry is. He might have got the time frame wrong. I have sent him a WhatsApp, so he might just pop in at any time, and we can always backtrack a little bit. But let's get going with Wales against Australia. Now, quite a lot of money coming for Wales. Yeah, I mean, for Australia, Henrik, this is their 5th match in a row. They've been involved in tough matches pretty much every week. Even the one game where they thought they might rest a few players, they ended up getting beaten by Italy. And they play a Welsh side that's really been, well, I guess you'd say they've been poor. The victory over Argentina wasn't bad. Beaten by Georgia last week. And you got Wales here, narrow favourites for this game. Where are you leaning on this one? I haven't been able to find a points line, but I don't know if anyone maybe in the live chat's got a points line for us.
Yeah, Brent, Australia, they've been quite impressive actually in the internationals so far. Apart from the Italy game where they tried a few new guys and they lost narrowly. They impressed me against France. They impressed me against Ireland. So yeah, but now they've got a very long injury list, and the big one out is Michael Hooper because he's so important to them. He lifts the whole team. His work rate is immense. So yeah, I think they've got like a whole team out. If you look at all the injuries, and yeah, the money is probably right for Wales on this one. This is the kind of game that Wales probably will win. So on the handicap, I'll go under minus here. But I think this might just be a scrappy game. And I saw a few posts on the forum, and Hein de Mont Couch Critic, I saw him. He's fancying unders here, and I agree with him. I think this will be very scrappy, and Wales will drag Australia down to their level here. Obviously, like you, I haven't seen the points line, but anything mid 40s or up, I'll be very confident the unders here. The roof will probably be closed, but that won't bother me. If it's open, I think there's a bit of rain around. I checked the wire prediction, but yeah, it doesn't matter for me if the roof is open or closed. I think this will be a scrappy affair. Unders on points and unders on tries on this one.
Yeah, and then the minus as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Henry.
No, and under handicap, I fancy the minus as well.
Yeah, I would take Australia if pushed on the. I'm sorry, I'd take Wales on the minus if pushed on the handicap. But I tend to agree with Couch and yourself here. I think this could be one for total points. I'm hoping maybe bookmakers think final game it'll be thrown around a bit, perhaps give us something in the high 40s. But I suspect we're going to get mid 40s. But I'd still be an unders player. I must tell you that this game I think kicks off 3 o'clock on Saturday. At 4 o'clock, my year-end poker tournament kicks off. So I believe we're going to have a TV there. But absolutely looking forward to that. It's going to be absolutely great. Build-up is certainly immense. Well, unfortunately, no sign of Harry yet. We'll get his opinion on these games, but let's move on. We've got another 2.5 point handicap here, Henrik, and this is England against South Africa. Now, there's been quite a big betting shift towards England, although I sense it's come back in again. I heard there was minus 4.5, minus 5.5 England, and it seems to have settled around the 2.5 point mark. And I think this is more or less where I handicap the game as well. What are your views on this one?
Yeah, Brent, I haven't placed a bet. Well, I haven't placed any rugby bet at this stage yet. So I've got my fancies up. I used to be quite a big early play in the week kind of better, but I've changed the last few years. I don't mind taking my bets later. So yeah, this week I haven't. I take the odd early bet, but at this stage I haven't placed a bet yet. And I also watched the betting move on this one, and like you said, there was strange money for England. I don't understand why there was a shift towards England, and then now it's come back, and it's probably right, but I still think the betting is the wrong way around. I like the box strong here. I think the box will win. I won't even worry about the plus here. I like the box to win, and I said last week when you on Twitter I asked you where you would price it. I think you went choice on this one pretty much, which is probably right. I'd rather go choice than a minus on either of these two teams. I'm not impressed with England at the moment, although I'm a big Eddie Jones fan. They've been quite poor from what I've seen. So I like the box, and the box, in my opinion, they've been a bit unlucky. They've shown good glimpses for me, and I like the team they've picked. I know there is concern about the place kicker. So Faf or Davian Willems will probably take the kicking. That is a bit of a concern, but I think their forwards will do enough here to ground out to win. So I like the box.
There's Greg coming in. He says, Owen Farrell key to England beating South Africa. Greg, I saw your comment underneath last week's show where you caught the replay, and you said New Zealand by 16. And you must have thought you were absolutely right, spot on the money there last week. I mean, I don't know what happened with those 3 England tries. Certainly the first one I thought was pretty lucky to be awarded. But I was on England over 23.5, and I'd have to count that one of my great escapes in my betting life is the way England got those 3 tries against a team like the All Blacks. You just simply wouldn't expect it. What a game that was. Mark Dumpty reckons this is a 50-50 game, and WJS says you need an 85% goal kicker will be tight. Yeah, goal kicking is definitely, as Hendrik said there, it could be a bit of a concern. the boys perform well against France, but you've got to do it a few times in a row before I'm convinced that you're a regular goalkeeper. Kicker, not goalkeeper. Right, well, that's the two international games. Only the two to talk of, so most of the other teams have finished their international season already. So let's move on and talk a little bit of United Rugby Championship. Now, this caught me a little bit off guard, Henrik. I was sort of looking at what are the international fixtures for the weekend, and suddenly I thought, geez, the URC is back. I didn't even attempt to handicap the games because I would have meant casting my mind back and trying to figure out who was in the team, who wasn't in the team. I thought I'm just going to leave the bookmakers to do it. As we go through this, I will mention some of the conductors' fancies that I saw on Twitter as well and see if you're in agreement with him or not. But let's start off with the Stormers. I've got a handicap here, 13.5 points and a total points of 50.5, and that's against the Scarlets. I did see the conductor went on Twitter plus 17.5 Scarlets, so suggesting he caught a bit of early value there. But right now, at 13.5, which way would you be going?
Now, Brent, just firstly on the URC getting back, it caught me off guard a bit as well, and I actually had to go back and have a look at the results, the previous results on a few teams here. Because I noticed, obviously, being a South African, I follow the South African teams a bit closer, so I have to go and check the other teams, how they went. Don't always follow them close enough as I should. And I saw the plus 17 the conductor took here. I actually like the Stormers team that they've picked. They've got a pretty strong forward pack. I like Nettling for sure. He's very underrated in my opinion. I'm a big Frans Malabre fan, but I actually like Nettling. I think he's a very good tight head prop. And Vermaak, obviously probably not the best, but he's solid at this level. And Kate Voliter at fly off. I think it's a good Stormers team. 13.5 against a Welsh team away from my view on the Welsh teams. I like taking on the Welsh teams. So I think the minus is the way to go. Yeah, the weather will be all right in Cape Town. A bit windy, but I don't think the wind will be too bad. So a minus for me. And the style the Stormers play, I think you have to go for points here, either Stormers or total points. But I like that minus 13.5, and I won't mind if there's a bit more money for the Scarlets. I like the way the bet is going there.
Excellent. Well, let's bring Harry in. And first of all, introductions. You probably chatted on Twitter once or twice or so, but you two have never been on the show together. So there's Harry and Hendrik meeting each other for the first time. Harry, I thought perhaps you had the time zone, because also you answered my message a few minutes before, and I thought maybe he thinks it's in an hour's time, but you said you had a bit of connection problems, eh?
Yeah, and I was riding a horse. I got thrown off the horse, so maybe that affected my brain, eh? How's it, Hendrik? Good to meet you. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Excellent. Well, Harry, I've got to say one thing. There's no doubt in my mind that you will write a book one day, and that book will be on your own life and no one else's, because I've never seen a guy travel around. Actually, you were in Dublin, and then I thought you were going to France to watch the French game, and then I see you up in the mountains, apparently on some sort of hike, which looked like you had to make like all sorts of sacrifices. What were you up to there?
Yeah, I went to Mexico City after Dublin, and then I went to the Utah desert, 1,200 calories per day. I was hallucinating after 2 days, and they gave me 1,800 calories. But no, I lost about 4 or 5 kgs in 1 week.
Oh, I've got a head there. Then that's the only thing for it. But anyway, welcome to the show. So you're actually joining us as we're starting with the URC. So what we'll do is we'll run through the URC, and then we'll get your opinion on the two internationals at the ends before we do the best bets. So here we got Stormers minus 13.5. There's been a bit of money for the Scarlets. The early line has come in a little bit, and we've got a total points line of 50.5. Anything catch your eye here, Harry?
Yeah, so I'm always bad at Stormers predictions because I love them too much. But I think actually it's a difficult line for the Stormers to cover. It's a hefty one, and there's a lot of disruption. But I suppose, where it's played, and then with a set piece, and the fact that the Welsh, I suppose, are also struggling very, a lot. So, yeah, I wouldn't put much on this one. And gun to my head, I'd probably stick with my Stormers, but I wouldn't be very confident.
Right, yeah. Hendrik also leaning towards the Stormers. I know the conductor on Twitter was on the plus. Let's stay with you, Harry, for the next game. Here we got a big handicap. Ulster minus 29.5 against Zebre. and points line here of 58.5.
Yeah, I think this is the time when the log separates. So I think Ulster is actually a very good team anyway, but the Ian Henderson's coming back, and I think he's probably worth 10 points to that side, both in leadership but also in quality at set piece in the maul. So, and I also think the Italian sides are going to fade at this point. So, yeah, I'm with Ulster on this one, even with that strange and wonderful spread.
Yeah, well, 29.5. My roulette number used to be 29. I can tell you that didn't come in very often. Henrik, what do you make of this? A big handicap. You used to be, I mean, I'll say as well, you were outspoken. You were absolutely used to go low on zebra points no matter what the line was. But you came around to them early in the season, although it's got to be said they've started struggling of late.
Yeah, Brent, they have struggled a bit. They've taken a few beatings. I'm a big Ulster fan. I've always liked punting Ulster. So yeah, I'm with Harry on this one. It's actually a bit tough for me going against Zebra now because I've had a few wins early in the season. But yeah, at home, Ulster, I think they will cover this minus, and I think there might be a few points in this one as well. I won't be surprised if Zebra score a try or two as well. So yeah, Ulster minus, and that points line looks big, but I won't be surprised if it goes over on the total points there.
Yeah, certainly Zebra have been playing a lot more positive brand of rugby than they ever did in the past. Talking of a positive brand of rugby, what we hope to see at Loftus, we've got a 3:00 kickoff. I know the conductor, when we got a total points line of 52.5, I just want to see a lot of his picks. He picks them early, and quite often the lines move just after he picks. But yet, still here, Bulls, he went Bulls over 37.5 points. And I see that is still available. Henrik, on this game, what's the view? We got, by all accounts, a young Welsh side coming out here against the Bulls side that's surely going to be licking their lips at a 4-pointer here.
Yeah, at Loftus, you have to back the Bulls. It's either back the Bulls or don't bet on the game. I think with Jake White, I've got massive respect for him and love him as a coach. And the style the Bulls play as well, they're so dominant. It's that blue machine and the crowd there and everything. Yeah, it's a daunting place to play. And like like I said earlier as well, I like taking on the Welsh teams, especially away from home. I'm a bit concerned about the weather here, Brent. I'm checking the YR prediction. I like checking YR. They're quite accurate when the rain starts. So yeah, it's still 2 days out. So I will hold off with my bets here. I won't chase the early value on points here, and closer to the time, because the prediction is for the rain to start at 3:00 and then quite a bit of rain for Pretoria. But I saw Brendan, the conductor, saying that the rain normally starts late. He lives in Pretoria, so he should know. But yeah, my advice here would be just to hold off with the point bets here. Just check that rain, because there is a lot of rain predicted for Pretoria on Saturday afternoon and night. But yeah,
if push, because I don't think the line's going to move much from here. I don't. Certainly not the Bulls points line.
If the weather is all right, you have to take overs on the Bulls here, and I'll take minus on Bulls as well here. But I don't suspect the handicap would shift much, so I'll wait for both of those bets. I'll wait till very late and then take the minus and the overs if the weather is all right. And if the weather is not that good, you might actually get a better minus on the Bulls, and I'll still take the Bulls on the minus even if it's raining.
Yeah, you're quite right. If the conditions are wet, it might come into like 18.5, and then I'd rather be on the minus than the overs there. Agree with you there. Harry, are the Blue Bulls going to stamp the authority on this one?
Yeah, I stack it up on this one. I go double on this one, and get my stash of money that's buried in the backyard and bring it out for this one. I think Ospreys are going to catch a real hiding. The thing about playing the Bulls in Pretoria is sometimes it feels like they have more minutes with the ball than is possible. It's almost like playing a tennis player who doesn't stop in between serves, just come at you. So there's a lot of plays, a lot of rocks, a lot of phases, a lot of Gary Owens. I just feel like it's going to be one of those big cricket scores. I don't think the Ospreys are ready for this one.
Right, yeah, I think I'm very much leaning towards you guys on the Bulls there. I'll probably like Henrik said, wait and see what the weather is. I'll be playing my poker game at this time, but hopefully we'll have it on. Although, yeah, we should have it on. Although it does clash with Wales against Australia. Right, we got a choice game coming up here, Harry. We got Benetton Treviso plus a half point against Edinburgh, and we got a total points line here of 49.5.
No, I've been having good success with Edinburgh all season, so I probably stay on their train. It's difficult. These are very difficult teams to actually tip, but I would say Edinburgh. I think I'm going with Scotland on this one.
Right, Edinburgh there. I must say, Henrik, when I looked at this game, I kind of had I know you've hit Benetton a few times early in the season, I think quite well, but I've also sort of Edinburgh been pretty good to me, and I found myself leaning there. But I'll probably be, I'm undecided. I think the bookies have got this one about right.
Yeah, Brent, I've been successful with both these teams. I've backed both of them pretty successful. But again, like Harry said, he suspects the Italian teams might start to fade a bit. And Benetton, they have had a few iffy results lately. And Edinburgh, if anything, they've become stronger. So, yeah, I like Edinburgh to win away from home, yeah.
Right, Edinburgh on the road there. We'll stick with Henrik for the next game, and I'll puff out my Leinster chest for this one. Minus 16.5 points against the Glasgow Warriors. We've got a points line of 52.5. Mark Dunphy, I'm not sure if he's still there in the live chat. He's just recovering from an operation, but I'm pretty sure he would have tried to stay awake until he saw this game to see what Henrik said. Henrik, are you going to be opposing Leinster on the handicap here?
I'm not, Brent. Leinster, I've actually, I like I always said, I used to oppose them, but this season I've actually backed them a few times. And not very successfully, but I have backed him. But the thing here for me, I'm going against Glasgow. Glasgow, they've been pretty poor from memory. I haven't checked the results perfectly now, but from memory, Glasgow haven't been that great. And Leinster at home, I think the minus is the way to go here. And I think this one might have a few points as well.
Yeah, so 52.5 points could come into play. Always amazed at the depth of Leinster Rugby. Looking forward to seeing how they go. And a bit of nodding there from Harry. Can we assume that you're on the Leinster bus here as well?
Yeah, Leinster in the context of the URC is like Argentina in the World Cup. Wait, no, I meant something else. No, it's like the All Blacks. You can drive yourself crazy trying to read the tea leaves and throw the grass up in the air to read the wind. You kind of just back Leinster, and they're going to be okay. You're going to get rewards. But, I don't think you bet the farm on it either.
Yeah, fair enough. And you think it's going to be a game where we're going to get points, Harry, in this one?
Yeah, so the machine of Leinster is just they build more rucks, twice as many rucks as anyone else. They get inside the 22 about twice as much as anyone else. So it's just at some point the arithmetic works. They score. So... And then I don't think they won't worry once they're up. They don't mind playing open enough to let Glasgow score a few back. So, yeah, I think points is not a bad one on this one.
Yeah, total points there is 52.5. I'm just having a quick look. Leinster points, which I like a bit here, 34.5. I do enjoy backing Leinster points. They're the sort of side that can win it for you nice and quickly. Let's go to the next game. We'll stick with Harry here. Munster, minus 9.5 against Connacht. And here we're expecting a low-scoring Irish derby. We've got a points line of 43.5.
Yeah, it's been a tough old season for Munster this year. You would think they were going to have a reset. They almost didn't really know where they were going. It's like sometimes you replace a coach and then you realize it wasn't the coach's fault. I mean, it was, but not all the way. And then Connacht is a tricky one. It's like anytime I see a match with Connacht in it, I almost opt out. I don't know which one's going to show up. They've had a very strange season up and down as well. So classify this one for me as a not too sure. And, you probably just go with the home team at some point.
Well, it's funny when you mentioned the Munster coach of last year, of course, you didn't mention the name Van Kraan. And I was almost like seeing it as like a red flag to a bull there if you're going to start singing his praises, because I know Henrik has always said he didn't rate him at all, and he reckons the reason Munster's struggling is they're still trying to recover from him. What are your views on this one, Henrik?
Yeah, Brent. You know my view on Johan van Graan. I don't rate him at all, and like I said, Munster's still struggling. to recover from Van Graan. They had a few results last year just because Damien de Allende played for them. He carried that team, and now they've lost him as well. Munster, they have actually burnt me once or twice this season, but I always go against them. And I actually like Connacht. I'm a big fan of Andy Friend as a coach. I think this is his last season with Connacht. But yeah, Welsh Island Derby, Connacht almost double digits underdogs. I actually fancy Connacht to win this game, so I like the plus very strong. This is my strongest fancy on the URC. I didn't see the points line before you brought it up now, and I was targeting an undersplay, yes, a big undersplay, but that is probably about 3 or 4 points lower than I expected. I'll still take the unders, but I'm strong on the plus here, Brent. I think this will be a very tight game if Connacht don't run away with it, actually. But yeah, I like Connacht very strong on the plus here.
Yeah, I also found I had a look at this one, and I also quite fancy Connacht on the plus end. And just to your logic there, a tight, low-scoring game is kind of expected. And the lower the total points go, the more pressure there's on a minus handicap, if I can put it that way. That you're going to start favouring Connacht. If the bookies are right on the points, it's not going to take that many points for Connacht to be able to grab this cap. So I'm with you there, Henrik. Quite like them on the handicap there.
I'm sorry. One other thing, the ref here, I see it's the Italian ref, Necchi. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but it's that young Italian ref as well, and he's a bit of an unders ref as well. So that also plays to the plus and the unders on total points.
Right, well, we'll stick with you for the next game. This one, of course, taking place in Johannesburg. We've got the Lions minus 15.5 against the Dragons. And the Dragons have put in a couple of decent performances at home this season. They now travel, though, to Johannesburg. And a points line here, which 53.5. I'm imagining the weather is probably similar forecast to Pretoria there. We're not too far apart. But yeah, normally when you see this sort of low 50s in the Lions game, you get excited, and then that sort of thing knocks in your head to go, hold on a second, this could be a trap. Henrik, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Brent, I like the Lions here. Let me just quickly check the weather. There's a small chance of rain, but it won't be. I don't think it will rain. You probably know Johannesburg weather better than I do. Probably a chance of a thunder shower or two, but it doesn't look like serious rain. The Lions, they are improving very nicely at the moment, and I think that minus is too low. I think they will cover the minus here. I will be looking at overs on Lions points here. What's the Lions point line? Is that 37, 34, 37, thereabouts?
Let me get that for you there. Let me get your Lions points line. Lions points over 34.5 at the moment. Over 34.
I like the Lions to beat that overs. But I think the Dragons might get a try to as well. So I'm not sure. Brent, you will probably fancy the total points more than the Lions points here, right?
Possibly. I'm thinking the Dragons can get a few, although I also do like that Lions points at 34.5. And the way I see my afternoon shaping up is probably an ACCA, like an overs accumulator or something like that, or something like that. Because I'm going to be playing poker, so I won't be focusing on all the games individually, but going.
No, but this is Sunday. This is Sunday.
This one on Sunday. Oh, I didn't realize this was on Sunday. Well, in that
Sunday
case,
afternoon, 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Well, that's very different because my mindset's going to be I've either had my pipes cleaned at poker the night before, I'm absolutely flying in cash, and I've won the tournament. So, yeah, we'll see. I was just saying to Henrik, Harry, before the show, my Sunday punting record is absolutely abysmal. I was on France over 5.5 tries against Japan the other day. Now, I just can't seem to. I need to pack up on a Saturday night and not play Sunday, but there's no ways I'm going to be able to resist this game. This should be a good game to watch.
Yeah, like the old-fashioned blue laws, no gambling on Sundays. No,
Yes.
yeah, so you can score in the rain. You don't kick as well for poles, but actually you can score tries in the rain if you're up against a weaker team. The other thing is if you don't have long passes, if you have a short passing team, you can actually do very well in the rain as well. I actually think Lions will be okay if it's wet, still score. But yeah, your kicking percentage goes down at poles. So maybe it's not a good one on the actual the points, but I think on the actual line, I would take the Lions here because it's tough to be on the road and don't have your best players, and then you're in this foreign conditions and it's kind of tough, and then your puff runs out in the second half. So yeah, I'll take the Lions.
Just having a bit of a chuckle with the boys in the live chat because they're normally so active in the live chat, and we went about 5 minutes without a comment. And I actually put a comment in there to say, like, testing the live chat just to see if it's working. And the guys are basically coming back and saying it's this URC's kind of snuck up on us. We haven't all had a chance to do the homework, so they don't want to put anything there. And they sort of just listening in. But it was quite interesting that all of us kind of feel like we're in the same boat going into the URC this weekend. It sort of snuck up on us there. Right, let's go into the next game, Harry. This is the final game of the weekend, and we've got the Sharks here. Firm favourites against Cardiff, minus 17.5. They turned in some good performances before the break, but obviously now missing quite a few of the international stars. And the same will apply to Cardiff. I don't know how many they've got. We've got a points line here of 50.5.
Yeah, you miss your big players more when you're on the road than when you're at home because it's just easier for young players to play at home. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable here with the Sharks. Again, I would be wary of the points wager, but I think that line is pretty good. I would think they would win by 20.
And I must just say, on the total points, I did see Conductor tweet. It was either earlier today or yesterday. He sort of said he'd spotted the market overseas, and he said he couldn't wait for the points market 54.5, and he went low. And it has come into 50.5. And I'm going to bring Henrik now in at this point because Henrik, I know you, me, and the Conductor, we sing off the same hymn sheet here often in these Durban games. And but what I was amused at was Conductor had to try explain his logic to someone on Twitter. It's not that easy to do because Conductor said he's hoping for humidity, so he's gone unders. But if it's raining, he's worried in Durban. And someone questioned him, and it might even and sort of said, "But how does that work?" And we've noticed that as well in Durban, but it's very difficult to explain. I mean, surely if it's raining, it's worse. But we've seen many a Durban game pouring with rain, the points are flowed. But a hot game with humidity, it's like a different kind of slipperiness, isn't it?
Yeah, Brent, it's a strange thing, and you can't explain it. You have to actually experience it while having a bet and firing the unders, and then the rain comes down. I have a horrific story about betting experience from myself a few years ago when the spread betting was still open, and I saw the rain coming down, and I fired the low on shirts, bigger stakes than normal, and Kerwin Bosch had an absolute, I can't remember who he played against, but he had a masterclass in the rain, and they scored a lot of points. And yeah, luckily there was a stop loss, and I had to stop her, but yeah, it was a big loss for me. So from that day, I've had to believe that rain in Durban is points. If it's a perfect sunny afternoon, you go unders, there's no points. But if it's rain, there's points. I'm so wary of Durban. But the conditions actually look quite pleasant for me, and there's a chance of rains. So I don't like the unders here. Not a big chance of rain, but it looks like it might rain, but it doesn't look like it will be humid. Nice 22 degrees, 6 o'clock afternoon on a Sunday night. I think the conditions will be quite good. I saw Brendan also had he had a view on Frank Murphy being an unders ref and liking the reset scrums and that. I haven't got a strong opinion on Frank Murphy. But yeah, I'm with Harry on the minus on the Sharks. I think the Sharks will get the job done on the minus here. Again, taking on the Cardiff or the Welsh teams. And yeah, the Sharks, they with all the recruitment they've done, they should beat this and they should win by 20 plus. And I think I will go over some Sharks points here. I will obviously wait and see conditions. Stronger fancy on the minus, but I think the Sharks will score points here as well.
I'll quickly get your line there. We've got Sharks points sitting at over 33.5 there at the moment.
Yeah, I'll take the overs.
So what I want to do now is I just want to go back to the internationals and get Harry's opinion. Before I do that, just to mention to the guys, we will be covering the Gallagher Premiership tomorrow. I haven't finalized the time yet. Neil, Thoughts on Sports, is going to join me for the show. We'll just skim through the 4 fixtures because we've only got 4 to talk about and get his views. He's, of course, one of the top Gallagher Premiership punters around, no doubt about that. And we're also going to have a Betway Summer Cup video. Not sure if we'll go live yet, but we'll definitely have that out tomorrow sometime. So do make sure you subscribe to the channel to be able to see that. Right, Harry, let's bring you in on the internationals here. Wales currently -2.5 for Australia. There's definitely been some money for the Welsh, mainly because Australia are stretched so thin at the moment, and obviously in their 5th game on after a long tour.
Yeah, this is a very interesting game. As you know, I follow Australia's fortunes very closely as I'm on an Aussie platform for my writing commentary and such. They are on a strict up-down pattern. I mean, it's like predictable clockwork. Good, bad, good, bad. I don't mean winning necessarily, but they actually are pushing, the French, the Irish to the wall, and then they lose to Italy. They had one good game against the Box, then a terrible one. Same thing with the All Blacks. They are literally on this pattern. So you have to interpret which part of the pattern we're on. But then you have Wales, who's kind of in a similar position. In fact, you could see the Welsh and the Wallabies almost as analog teams that are facing the same problem. They both have coaches that are about 30-odd matches in. They don't have a doctrine. There is no Warren Ball. We don't know what Wayne Ball looks like. Dave Rennie has no doctrine. By that, I mean, we don't know what it is they're trying to do except play hard, be big, be physical, and, tear a hamstring, blow out a Achilles, and get lots of penalties. So we don't know what it looks like. And now you throw in Ben Donaldson, starting 10 with Noah Lalicio behind him. The shape of the Wallabies is still up for grabs. We don't know, and because they had a revolving door of scrum off. So it's one of those matches that you would say the home team has something to gain here. They were very embarrassed. They have to tell their supporters that they're still a tier 1 nation. If they get blown out by Australia, it's going to be one of the worst seasons ever. On the other side, the Wallabies are facing one of their worst seasons in history. So both sides need each other. It's like two leaky ships colliding in the ocean. They're almost happy to have a crash because now they can maybe salvage enough timber to survive. And the Wallabies are running on fumes. They got no one left. So I look at this thing as it'll come down to a kick. Maybe Ben Donaldson gets another kick at the end of the match, and this time he makes it. But I am not bullish on either side. I don't think either side has any confidence whatsoever. Both of them are playing very stupid rugby right now. You would count on the Wallabies to completely just crap all over the bed if they get a lead, and then on Wales they have no bench. So I'm talking around and around the mulberry bush, but I don't really see that any team will grab this by the short hairs and take it. I think it's going to be a match that has ebb and flow. There'll be some cards, there'll be some stupid acts, some misses, and then someone's going to have to make a kick. So I would say the home team will usually take that.
Rob, so I'll throw something else at you. We haven't got a points line yet, but if I give you a points line of 45.5, are we going to get more or less points than 45.5?
No, actually, it'll be less than that. So I think both the problem with this, the lack of synergy, you have so many different combinations changing, and Wales has not been a scoring team in 2022.
Yeah, I think, and I think Henrik and I both pleased you sort of lent in that, because both of us were saying, and a few of the guys on Twitter have been saying that this could well be a very low-scoring encounter, this match, because two teams, as you say, they're two sinking ships. They're just going to want to win at all costs, and running rugby may not be the way they go about it. Let's have a look at the England-South Africa game here. -2.5 this handicap. It seems to have stabilized now. There was 4.5 at one point, and Henrik, I can tell you, is on the South Africans here. It seems like the majority of the guys in the live chat like the South Africans. What are you doing here, Harry?
Sell your car, sell your wife, sell your kids, take the money, put it on the box.
Okay, Henrik loves that. You reckon they're going to beat them, eh?
Yeah, kind of easy too, actually. I think the problem is we're all dealing with extrapolation. Like this team A plays team B, and so we try to make a deduction. There's just matchup problems. The England plays well against the All Blacks, but it doesn't really mean that England's a good team. They just have a particularly good matchup configuration for the All Blacks. Same thing is true for Ireland, for example. But Ireland's not that much better. Ireland struggled against the Boks and the Wallabies. The French couldn't really dominate the Bok pack with 8 on 7 and then 8 on 6. They were still in parity. So I think the problem for England is they don't really go well unless their pack's a bully. Their pack can kind of bully some teams, including in the second half at least, the All Blacks. They're going to get smashed off the park by the Bok pack. this is an angry pack. You look at this as a beautiful configuration of starting and bomb squad. I like it a lot. Okay, we don't know what Ruiz is going to do, but still, I think he only has one way, which is hair on fire, run through a wall. So I think believe Vunipola might look old this weekend.
Just interesting. Winslow coming in with a comment on the bet, either team by 7 or less. He's talking in particular about the Welsh game. But Winslow, I must tell you, I brought that comment up because I thought exactly that when I saw that Wales-Australia game. I thought it was crying out to be a tight game with probably no more than about 7 points in it either way. As he says, the question is 11 to 10, are you getting the right price? I think you probably are getting around about the right price there. But Harry, good to hear your confidence on the Bok game. I must say to both of you guys on this game, it wasn't a game I had much view on coming in. So I'm very much up to be influenced on this game. And certainly if I am playing poker while I'm watching this, it'll be nice to be cheering the Boks and not the English while I'm hopefully taking the boys' money. But anyway, gents, that brings us to the end of the show. Thanks very much. Let's get into the best bets now. Feel free to throw a couple in there. Harry, I'll start with you. If you had to have a look at the internationals, what's your strongest sort of fancy on the internationals, and then maybe one on the URC?
Yeah, Springboks on the test. The Bulls at home in the URC with a little bit of. I also like the Sharks too. Sharks and Bulls. Yeah.
Sharks, Bulls, and Boks. It's all South African weekend for Harry, no doubt about that. Henrik?
Yeah, Brent, I'm going to start with my strongest fancy, and that's Connacht, obviously, on the plus, because I actually think they can win the game. But Connacht on the plus, points line there a bit lower than I was expecting, but I was lining up and unders. But I'll go my second best bet after the Connacht plus. I'll go the Boks to win, and then unders in the Wales-Australia game as well.
Right, WJS just coming in there saying Leicester -9. Leicester, not Leinster. Leicester -9 for him. So, yeah, make sure to catch. We'll confirm the time shortly for the Premiership show tomorrow. But, gents, thanks very much. Henrik, great having you back on the show after a bit of a layoff. And, Harry, yourself after all your world travels. Good to have you back on. Great having you guys on.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks
guys.
all
the boys in the live chat. And we'll see you next week, Thursday, for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.